Hey guys, I wanted to take a little time today and talk about actually making the leap and buying your first deal. So for a lot of people, I'm going to argue pretty much everybody, buying the first deal is by far the scariest. And there's a lot of people, so I go to a lot of the local real estate meetups and things like that, and I know a lot of people that they've been interested in real estate investing for a long time. Maybe they've been doing all the education, they've been going to the meetup groups, all that. And I'm meeting people that have been doing that for a year, 2 years, 3 years, even 5 years. I met somebody that had been doing the research for 5 years and had yet to actually pull the trigger on their first investment property. So, I asked myself, well, why is that? And I think it boils down to fear. And I wanted to take a little time today and basically kind of walk through some of the common things that I get asked about and the common fears that people bring up. So one of the first ones is a lot of people lived through 2007, and the market obviously took quite a hit there. And the fear is my rental property is going to lose its value, I'm going to lose everything, all those kind of things. So here is my argument against that. So I know people that lost everything in 2007, and I also know people that sailed right through 2007 largely unaffected. My business partner Mike, actually, he was one of those people that because of the way that he was investing, he was largely unaffected by the crash. And here's the reason why. So the people that were largely affected in 2007, they were buying expensive homes, they were betting on appreciation, and they were over leveraged. So that was the main reason that people got in trouble. So my investing model and the model that I've learned from all of my education as the more conservative model is we're buying houses that are well below the median price. So my average house cost is about $55,000, $60,000, somewhere in there, and it's renting for around $850, $900, somewhere in there. And on those types of homes, my mortgage payment is on the order of $350 a month. So, for a lot of people, getting that first deal is the most critical part. So even if the house burnt down, you didn't have insurance, you can pay $350 a month and you're going to be okay. So I would argue that that is very kind of an unfounded fear if you're buying the right type of property. So the other thing is people are worried about the value of their house going down. In the long run, property values are always going to generally over time keep up. They're going to keep up with inflation unless we had massive deflation, which I think is highly unlikely. You really have Either way, you really have nothing to fear, because over time you have somebody else paying down your debt. So let's say your house is on a 20-year mortgage and you have margin on your cash flow. Over a period of 20 years, you are going to own that home free and clear, and there is no way that that house is going to be worth zero. It's going to be worth something. And the other key there is having margin on your cash flow. So like I said, my average house rents for about $850. My average cash flow is about $200 a month. So my net cash flow is $200 over the $800, which means I have about 20% margin on my cash flow. So when you're thinking about safety, what that means is basically rents can drop by 20% and I'm still going to be break even on those houses. And if you look back through history, you will actually see that while prices fluctuated a lot, the rental rates actually fluctuated a lot less. So there were some ups and downs over history and things like that, but in general, they're just climbing right along with general inflation, which is about 3%, 4%, somewhere in there. So I would argue that is kind of an unfounded fear. So one of the other fears that I hear a lot is, I don't want to deal with tenants. I'm worried the tenants won't pay the rent, all those kind of things. So if you want to self-manage your properties, you absolutely need to have some education on how to screen tenants properly, how to do all those kind of things. But, my personal preference now is to hire property managers and to use them. So if you have a good property manager, and I would find a good property manager by asking for references. So go find other people that are investors in your area and ask them who they like. That's just going to weed out all the bad ones right there. So if you do that, you have the property manager handling the tenant screening. They understand how to do all that stuff. You're really mitigating a lot of your risks. And as I said earlier, even if they stop paying, you might have a couple months where you have to pay the $350 in your mortgage and you don't have any income coming in. But if you're investing wisely and have reserves, it's really not going to affect you. You're going to be fine. So that's one of the other fears that I hear a lot. And I guess kind of lastly, people are worried about, well, what if there's something wrong with the house that I didn't know about? And I will be the first to admit we've bought plenty of houses where there have been things that came up that were unexpected. But the chances are it's not going to be something, it's not going to be something huge. You might have a furnace go out, you might have to replace a roof, you might have a water main problem, things like that. But I'm saying your absolute worst case generally for any single issue is probably going to be limited to about $5,000. So, for most people, that's the amount of reserves they should have put away anyway, or at least have that money available through a line of credit, or in some way have that amount of money available so that if something happens, you have it available and you're going to be all right. So the moral of the story is, for me, my why of why did I want to invest had to become stronger than my fears. So for me, I wanted to become financially independent, and that was really important to me. And I thought about that every single day. I wrote down my goals. And for me, that motivation was just so much stronger than the fear that, it allowed me to go and do what I need to do. So I guess I would encourage you to really think about, are your fears founded, or, are you just kind of, I don't want to be harsh, but are you kind of making excuses for yourself? Because a lot of times we do make excuses for ourselves and not taking action, and then we end up regretting it later. So that's it for today. Thank you.